Welcome to Scoring Stages 2, Something from Nothing, where you're going to learn quick compositional techniques that you can apply to nearly any musical style. I'm really excited about Scoring Stages 2. That's because what I'm teaching you in these video lectures has literally not been taught formally in many classrooms for well over 100 years. And I say that as a college grad with a degree in music composition. Yet, like span of orchestration, which I taught in Visual Orchestration 1, these techniques have been common knowledge to composers for literally hundreds of years. And the proof is in the music. From the opening of Jupiter from the Planets by Holst, to the great Western theme written for the movie The Big Country by Jerome Morris, to the high-string background lines used in Princess Leia's theme by John Williams. All of these techniques were common knowledge, often passed down through private lessons, but rarely written down in harmony books. Now, to just blow your mind, when these techniques were taught, they were taught at the end of the sophomore year. So this is not grad school material. And the way I'm presenting it, you'll be able to run with these techniques right now, whether you read music or play by ear. In all, there are 3 ways I'm presenting these techniques to you. For those of you who play by ear, where it's practical, I'll illustrate these techniques in Piano Roll Edit. Where practical, and especially for chord voicings, I'll show you the voicings on a piano keyboard like this. And of course, nearly everything will be explained with music notation. Now, for those of you who, like me, do read music notation, and if you're sequencing, do look at the techniques as presented in Piano Roll Edit, because this can help boost your MIDI editing skills. The one thing you have to remember in Scoring Stages 2 is that the ear is the centerpiece of what we're training. That's because through the ear, we meet our most important learning goal: to build your musical imagination so that your musical intuition has something to draw from. Remember, it was Rimsky-Korsakov who said that orchestration is composition. So the first thing I'm doing is a harmony review so that we're literally speaking the same language. Now, the reason I'm doing this is whether you learned on the streets or in the classroom or a combination of the two, there's always different ways of defining things in music. So that we're communicating clearly, we need to do this brief review. Now, as we go through this harmony review, I'm also showing you reharmonization techniques rarely taught in composition classes. So whether you're in school or you have a degree in music, you'll still get a lot out of this review, and you can begin working with these techniques right away. Here's one of the most effective learning tools for Scoring Stages 2, the pause button. Throughout this lecture series, I'm going to tell you to pause the video. And when I do, it's up to you to implement what you see right then on a keyboard. If you're watching these vids on an iDevice, you can pause and try them on a real piano, or whatever keyboard with a piano sound you have available. If you're watching Scoring Stages 2 on the computer, and you have an iDevice, you can download a free piano app from the iTunes Store. The idea is to take what I'm showing you and to begin putting it into your musical imagination right away. Then, after you've played it a bit, ask yourself, where have I heard this before? Then, try to come up with a specific answer, even if it takes a day or two. The more you can identify what you already have placed in your musical imagination, the more your intuition has something to draw from. And if you've not heard this technique before, then you just added something new to your musical imagination. Now, here's what I'm covering in Scoring Stages 2, and it's a lot. Lectures 1 and 2 explain a simple technique for creating the 4 types of triads and 9 types of 7th chords on any pitch. Lecture 3 shows you how to take that information and create very interesting harmonizations and reharmonizations. This will give your film scoring vocabulary a serious boost. And if you're not into film scoring and you want to do concert works, same thing. You're going to get a serious boost from this technique. Lectures 4 to 8 teach you how to do smooth voice leading, create professional sounding pads, and gives you a series of open voicings for low brass and strings that you can use right now. All of this builds to Lecture 9, which is about guide tone lines. Guide tone lines are an important tool for creating both background lines and melodies. I show you the 2 types and how to create each. Well, once you know about guide tone lines, then what? Well, the answer is in Lecture 10, where we'll be looking at the most common rhythmic background lines, including those built from harmonic rhythm, and from there, how to apply that by creating background lines. And as you already know, if you've been through any visual orchestration course, you can place these background lines in any register across span of orchestration. Lecture 11 shows you the most common broken chord background lines, and lectures 12 to 17 pull it all together by showing you how to apply these techniques across span of orchestration. This is where, per Rimsky-Korsakov, orchestration becomes composition. To get the most out of Scoring Stages 2, you will need the 70th anniversary edition of the Spectratone chart. And if you haven't done it yet, I encourage you to consider going through Visual Orchestration 1, which explains in depth how to get the most out of the Spectratone chart. For Scoring Stages 2, all of the music notation is done in Notion 4. There's also an iPad app available for it. You can read my review on Notion 4 at soniccontrol.tv. Piano roll edit examples are done in Logic. I want to emphasize again that Scoring Stages 2 is a combined composition orchestration course. Because of that, I've decided to do many of the examples with Notion 4 to save video production time and to avoid putting a spotlight on any one particular orchestral library. Where reverb has been added, in most cases, is from the Vienna Suite, and the Forti Certi IR is created by Ernest Georlakis of Numerical Sound. Also, all of the audio examples are part of the videos and are not available separately. I will be making the occasional MIDI mock-up comment here and there, but the clear focus of Scoring Stages 2 is composition and orchestration, not MIDI mock-ups and mixing. As you go through these techniques, don't limit yourself to just orchestral samples. Expand your palette and try them with various synth sounds and sampled choir sounds. If you have any world or ethnic instrument libraries, add them to your testing list. As one more disclaimer, when I do an audio example with a synth sound, to avoid putting a spotlight on any one program, all of the sounds come from the virtual instruments that come with Logic 9. Briefly, let's talk about how you should work with this material. You want to use a learning principle called OSA, which is an acronym for Organized Screwing Around. That's Organized Screwing Around, and yes, I really did say that. I learned this from a well-known composer, Don B. Ray, who after retiring from the industry, founded the film scoring program at UCLA's Department of the Arts. What Don observed is that organized screwing around is a fun way of saying learning to experiment and try different things. This is how music people learn music, by trying this, that, and the other. For us as writers, this is work. But for those watching us, It just looks like we're messing around at the keyboard. That's why if you're serious enough about music to pursue it as a career, you have to prioritize where your experimenting time goes to. Contrary to current forum thinking, I always advocate prioritizing the music first and music technology second. That's because you want your imagination to dictate to the software, not the software to your imagination. Okay, that's it. On to Lecture 1 and to your success.